membership structure up until COVID, where we could no longer meet in person for a while, so we went to a donation basis. And it worked so well that for a very short time, we were getting more donations than we were getting from our normal membership. It's come to a point, though, that we're not getting as much as we used to. You know, I'm not going to be up here and be a beggar, but anytime we have sort of a shortfall in our budget, I throw in. So if anybody is thinking, oh yeah, it's about that time to donate to Michigan MUFON, it's much appreciated. Even like the $10 or whatever is great, and that's all I'll say about that right now. But so about our, speaking of conferences, so May 2nd is going to be the next Swampcast conference that we're going to have. And it's going to be a mini conference, if you will. There are 3 presenters, and it's going to be across an afternoon. And all the speakers will speak within a 4-hour gap. There is no meal package at the venue, which is going to be the Kilgore Scottish Center. If you go to swampgasufo.com, you'll see details about the event, and you'll also be able to get tickets. It's going to be $35 for 3 presenters, so I think that's quite reasonable. And the presenters are going to be in order. It's going to be Jack Bushong, the radar operator from the 1994 March 8th UFO event. So we're going to give some attention to that event this year as well. The next in line is Nicole, and she's going to be talking about her personal experiences. And then Ray Shemansky will be speaking about the 1966 event. So it's all Michigan-based presenters and all Michigan-based events for the most part. And we have up to 150 seats. And at the rate that tickets are selling, and I know some people in here have already gotten their tickets, the event will sell out somewhere between here and May 2nd. There's probably no super urgency to do so, but please keep it in mind because I have zero doubt the event is going to sell out. Ray himself is a promotional steam train, and so just based upon him trying to get the word out, that's probably going to account for about 1/3 of the tickets. Yeah. May 2nd, it's going to be at the Kilgore Scottish Center, interestingly. It is right off of I-75 in Troy, Michigan, like right off I-75. There are a couple places to stay if you feel that you need to, but the event's an afternoon event. It's going to be, the speakers are going to talk between 12 and 4. There's going to be vendor space open before and after, if you'd like. If you feel the need to stay there, but if it's a reasonable commute for you to go there, then you don't need to pay for a hotel. There's no additional cost for any sort of other packages. You just come, you see the speakers, and then you're free to hang out if you want. There are a couple hotels immediately next door to the event. There's a Red Roof Inn and a Wyndham Garden, both within walking distance of the venue. And it's a nice event. If you go to, it's a nice venue, I should say. If you go to the Kilgore Scottish Center website, you can see how well it works out. It's a real perfect space for us. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that right now. Otherwise, I'll go on to the next announcement. Between here and May 2nd, we have our winter meeting, which is always on Zoom. So on February 1st at 7 p.m., this is the weekend between the last NFL playoff game and the following week when the Lions win the Super Bowl. Debbie Ziegelmeyer, the Missouri State Director, is going to talk to us. She's got a new book about underwater UFO events, which includes underwater abductions, people that were taken underwater for abductions. So when she was talking about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a presentation on that before, so that should be really interesting. Debbie is also on the MUFON International's executive board, so she's quite a name with any organization.
Hey,
yeah.
Where's that going to take place at?
February
1st. February 1st.
It's on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
So it's a video one.
What time, Bill?
7 p.m. And then the last thing I have to mention is next Friday is when Age of Disclosure gets released. It's the next big UFO documentary that has politicians and other military people and videos and whatever. I mean, we see one of these come out maybe every 1 to 2 years. This is the next one that comes out. It's on Amazon Prime. It is not free upon release, so I don't know if it will be free eventually. And apparently it's even showing in theaters, like in LA and New York, so not locally. But if you look up Age of Disclosure, like on YouTube, you get to see a trailer for it. It might be great, or it could just be the next one. If you've ever seen one of these before, the next one to come out. So I guess we'll see. That's what I have for announcements. And since we're doing this interview style, I don't know if you've been recording it or if you're about to record.
What's that?
Are you recording?
I am recording, yeah.
Oh, okay. So anything I said about MUFON International is like, you know, we're good, right? All right.
I guess. We can cut that out if you want.
No, I made a comment that their prices have increased, and everybody's been sad.
Oh, boy.
We'll just
well
cut all
deserved.
that out.
It's well deserved. It's okay. We're here this afternoon to speak with Nancy.
Yes.
Yeah. And Nancy's got a new book, and she's even got copies of it. Hopefully all of you have had a chance to take a look at the art on the back table, because Nancy's not only an experiencer, but she is also a fine artist. And when I talk about the Swamp Gas Conference of 2016, Nancy actually did promotional art for that. And she's working on something for our 2026 event as well. So I'm excited to see that when it's finally produced. So at that time, how long were you a MUFON member? Were you new at that time? I can't remember.
I was a lapsed member at that time. I had been a member in the early 90s. I had been a member in the early 90s, and then I was lapsed and hadn't rejoined again then. Oh yeah, I had. That's right about when I first rejoined.
Oh, so you're Wally's? Like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Burton. Yeah.
So we used to meet at this restaurant Wally's. Anybody here? Wally's? Wow, a lot of people go back that far. Yeah. So we used to meet at this restaurant in Burton. They closed, and then due to some flooding, and then during COVID, they decided they weren't going to reopen. From what I understand, they leveled the building, so it's not even there anymore. But and so, what brought you to MUFON? How did you find out about MUFON in the first place?
Gosh, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. You know, I really don't remember. I think it was probably something I saw on TV, and I thought, I'll join, and they'll answer all my questions because they must have all the answers. And I joined, and I took field investigator training, and they didn't have all the answers right there at my fingertips. And then I got busy raising kids and farm animals and stuff, and dropped out. Came back and did field investigator training again, and did it for a while. And I guess that answers the question. I'm really nervous.
Yeah. Oh, you're great. And yeah, what I find is a lot of times once you get into the field, you're in it for life. Whether or not you stay a MUFON member, which hopefully is, you know, being a company man, I'll say something like that, because MUFON is great. But yeah, you find that, like, especially if you've had something happen to you, you just can't turn your back on it. It just, if you turn your back on it, it's still there, standing behind you. And I know that you're, of course, a frequent flyer. You've had experiences all your life. Have they all been in Michigan? Have you been in Michigan all your life?
Yeah. And I didn't realize they were all. UFO related. I thought that I was either crazy or, you know, psychic or something. I didn't know, because to me the things didn't seem to go with what you would expect with a UFO, a lot of it. And it's been going on forever.
And one really tremendous thing is, we get to find out more about Nancy, is that, what is it, 5 generations of experiences?
My grandfather, my mother, my kids, my grandson. So yeah, 5 generations.
How old were you when you had your first remembered experience?
The first remembered one that's portrayed in that picture back there, I was, I think, 6 or 7. And I was with my cousin who was the same age, and it was in broad daylight. We were in the field behind our grandmother's house, and we walked back there and saw what we thought was a piece of metal that had been in a tree. And no, that's not what that is. Well, that's a disc, but that didn't mean anything to us. You know, we just thought, oh, it's a shiny silver thing, let's go climb on it. So what I remembered was we ran towards it, and it zipped up in the sky and then went like this and was gone. And we went back, we were all excited and told everybody, and my mom went out there and said, well, there's a flat circle out there, a burnt circle in the grass, and some holes in the ground. And that was the whole story until it kept bothering me and kept bothering me. And finally I had hypnosis, and then I remembered, actually, I had that doorway amnesia thing where you don't know how you got from being in one place to in the ship, but suddenly I'm sitting on a table in the ship, and I don't know how I got there, and they scraped my arm and stretched my shorts out and looked at them, and then we have doorway amnesia again, and I'm out in the field watching it go.
So you were at your grandma's, right?
Right.
With your cousin?
Right.
And you spoke with your cousin?
He remembered it, yeah. He remembered it. He didn't want to talk about it a lot. He's passed now. But, yeah, he always remembered it, too. And, and everybody remembered our being so wound up and persisting until finally my mom went and looked. And,
and what did the beings look like?
Typical grays, like that. One big one and a couple little ones.
So this was in 1966. This is well before that alien face was everywhere, and
right.
Probably good at least 10 years before, say, Close Encounters.
Yes.
And the Betty Barney Hill that really wasn't widely publicly known until 1975. So
I didn't really, understand it at that time. I just knew something happened and it was exciting, and I had the grown-ups all wound up, and now we're the center of attention, and then and it was just sort of a memory I had. But when people started talking about UFOs more, like maybe when I was in my 20s, then I went, well, I know that they're real. I know there's something real. I've seen it. And I seen it on the grounds in broad daylight. I didn't know what it was, but so I never really had a time when I didn't believe it. I always did.
But variety. So how old were you in '66, if you don't mind?
I was about 7 then.
And then in 1969, you had something else that related to owls that you listed that really struck me. One of the things that she said was, I was more afraid of the house than the dark outside, and I took up out the back door. And that is really something when you think about your home as your shelter, your sanctuary, but when it gets to the point where your house is the thing that's causing anxiety, and you just need to do anything you can to get out of there, that's quite a lot. Can you see it?
Yeah, my mother was in nursing school, and her and I lived in this old farmhouse out in the country. She was gone at night because she was working and going to school, so she was gone all the time. I was about 9, and she had been seeing this big white owl looking in the window at her all the time, and she kept mentioning it, and it's kind of odd that it would bother her. I mean, she grew up in the country like I did, so she knew that an owl wasn't something to be afraid of, but it really bugged her. And so I also kept seeing a little white owl land on the ground and then disappear. And I don't know what the answer to that was, but I was there at that house one night. A lot of things happened in that house that I thought the house must be haunted. But now I think it was whatever the aliens are trying to manipulate me to act a certain way or go do a certain thing. Like in this one case, I sat home at night watching TV, and the TV the picture kept moving, and it kept getting real loud and making these noises that were really kind of scary, so I unplugged it, and it kept running.
Oh, jeez.
And so I backed up and I sat down in this big chair that was against the front door of the house, and I start hearing this really loud banging, and the basement door in the hallway starts to open, and all I could think of was I have to stop it from opening, so I ran and I jammed a chair in there, a kitchen chair. So now it's slamming against this chair in the hallway, slamming, 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 slamming. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And the door behind the chair that I was in started to push open and slide me across the floor. So, and that's when I ran out the back door, when I say I was more afraid of being in the house than being outside in the dark alone. And I ran outside, and my conscious memory was that I ran down to my aunt's house, and I went inside and I laid down on the floor and went to sleep. But under hypnosis, I remembered I ran outside and was abducted.
And can you say more about that part of it?
I don't know how I got from the ground to the ship. I remember being by the corn, and the light is really bright on the corn growing. And then I'm in the ship. There's a mist coming out of the floor, and there's this being that looked like a mantis, a praying mantis. Didn't really, something very, very skinny with a triangular head, and not with big eyes on the side like a praying mantis, but big eyes like right here, this sort of heart-shaped head. And I felt like it was a female, and I don't remember being afraid of it. In fact, I felt kind of liked it, but I didn't like the grays. There was grays there too, and I didn't like them.
I know that they're not very communicative about, say, their culture or their whole structure, but did you get a sense of how the mantis interrelated with the Greys, like what their relationship was, or were they just...
It was definitely in charge.
The mantis was in charge?
Yeah, and there wasn't, I don't remember a large gray. I remember small grays in the mantis. And I can see the mantis like at my feet, looking at me with these long, thin arms. And I don't know what she was doing. At first I thought that, I also thought I saw something with big glowing red eyes, and then I thought, no, it's a robot or a machine. No, it's something like, and I couldn't decide whether it was something living or it was a machine.
So, you've had probably many experiences where it's not just you by yourself, but you have other people around with you. Like your testimony of everything that's happened in your life is very different from when you run into somebody who just barely knows enough about the phenomena to dismiss it. And they say, oh yeah, people dream all sorts of weird things. People, when they wake up or they're going to sleep and they have that moment of paralysis sometimes maybe, that really explains it all, and imagination just fills in the rest. But so many of your experiences, like, in fact, I can't remember one in the book, and I may be missing something, where you were like, I'm in bed, and I wake up, and this happens. But most of them seemed like you were out. You were awake somewhere in the house, you were out in the field somewhere, you were out with friends, and it's not that sort of easy to sort of brush off thing. And in fact, you could just take that excuse right off the table right away. There was a thing that you had mentioned when you were 16 and walking down a dirt road with a group of your friends, and you look down on the road and you see some glowing rocks.
Oh, that's my daughter.
Oh, that's your daughter?
Mm-hmm.
And then when she looks up to the sky, she can see a red light going on the road. So this is a cross-generational thing at the time. Can you speak about your daughter's experience?
My daughter's in her 40s. She's a math professor. And she only last year told me that when she was, I think, preschool age, that this boy used to come to play with her. And she had asked me when she was a child about this boy, and I didn't know what she was talking about. And she said he would come, he had a big head, a really big head, and he would wear a hoodie. And she thought he hides that hood, he wears that hoodie because he doesn't want me to know he has this great big head. And he would take her in the hall closet, and they would rise up into the attic, where he would put this little box down, and this blue light, this blue ball would be suspended. And she had to learn something about manipulating that ball. She didn't remember what, but she knows he was teaching her things and telling her that this is information that she would need to know later. And it went on for a period of months, I'm guessing. And she didn't seem to be afraid and seemed to really be quite attached to him and miss him when he was gone. I got totally off the point, didn't I? Sorry. That's how it starts with her. The story that he's talking about is when she was 16, she was walking down this road near our house that the kids called Creepy Road. There was a mile stretch of road that had no houses and swamp on both sides. And they liked to walk down it at night and scare themselves. And so there was a group of kids walking down the road when they noticed that the rocks on the road were glowing. And then they noticed that there was a light above them following, but it's like a tunnel of trees. Something couldn't come down through those trees. And when they got down to an intersection where another dirt road teed it and it opened up, a bunch of grays came out of the ditch and herded them. And they separated them so that my two daughters were in one spot and the other kids were in another spot. So my daughter doesn't know what happened with the other kids, and the other kids don't seem to remember it. But she remembers that this cone came down, and there were what looked like grays in it, but they looked like a hologram. And that they kept trying to coax them into this cone of light. She said it was like they couldn't interact physically with them unless they entered the cone of light with them. And